Hi guys, I have owned and loved the little ZV-E10 Mark II since the day it was announced, so I'm surprised I have not made this video yet, but today is the day I will tell you all of my favorite accessories that really make the ZV-E10 II shine. So let's get into it. So the first thing I would suggest you buy is also the cheapest, and that's always nice. It is right here, a little $10 credit card. See that? I flipped it out without hitting myself in the mouth, and you can just fold it up that quickly right there. So you can get your white balance off this guy right here, and you can also set your exposure if you want to set some exposure levels, and it has a little target right here, so if you are manually focusing, then you can focus on this, turn on your peaking, and there you go. Invaluable, $10, folds up, super small. Just put it in your bag and then forget about it if you don't need it. Next, we should talk about a couple of essential lenses. If you want to use this camera to vlog your gorgeous face, you're going to hold it out at arm's length and have it point back at you. You're going to need a wide lens, and I like the Sony 11mm f1.8. That is the lens that you are looking at right now that is attached to my ZV-E10 Mark II. However, it is decently expensive, so if you are on a budget, the Yongnuo 11mm f1.8 will do an absolutely fine job. The Sony lens goes a little bit better with the Sony camera in terms of the stabilization, but the electronic stabilization in the ZV-E10 Mark II works pretty darn well with this Yongnuo 11mm. So if you need a wide one on a budget, here you go. If you have the extra dollars to spend, I would suggest the Sony 11. And if you're vlogging, chances are it is outside in the daytime, so you're going to want to get a variable ND. I have one attached right to this lens. I never take it off because that is when I use the lens outside. So this is sunglasses for your camera right here. Let me show the other camera. You see how it gets darker when I twist it? So you can just put this on and then you can put your lens down to 1.8, get a nice blurry background behind you. This particular one is from K&F Concept. I'll just link that down below. But what about a lens for a studio? If you were looking at a shot like this, let's say, or you wanted to do some interviews for documentaries, or you wanted to stream, then I would suggest you use a 24mm full frame field of view, which is about a 16mm on an APS-C camera. And in that case, you have three wonderful options. One is from Sony itself, another one is from Yongnuo, and then another one is from Sigma. So we have the Sony 15. Now, I think this is the best overall lens in this category. It just has an aperture ring, switches for autofocus to manual focus, a focus hold button. You can make the aperture ring clicky and declicky, and the image is absolutely outstanding. It is also a small, lightweight lens, but it is the most expensive by a fair bit of these three. Now, once again, if you are on a budget, the Yongnuo 16mm, just check out this lens, very well built, metal. It also has an autofocus to manual focus switch and a focus hold button, but this is a really great quality lens for its price. It is an f1.8, not an f1.4 like the other two lenses. And let's round it out with the Sigma 16mm f1.4. This is in the middle for a reason, because it's really in the middle. The optical quality is almost as good as the Sony, almost indistinguishable from the Sony lens, but it is bigger and it is heavier and it doesn't have any switches or buttons. So that is why it is cheaper than the Sony lens. Also, it's been out for a lot longer. It is, however, more expensive than the Yongnuo. It is a 1.4, it lets in more light. So a lot of people just end up settling on the Sigma lens because they want the quality of the 15, but they don't want to pay the price of the 15. So here you go, those are your options. The 15mm, if you can afford it, the 16 if you want the ultimate quality, but a little bit of a price break, and then the 16 1.8 also does an excellent job for people who are quite budget conscious. Now, since we're talking about the studio, a lot of people will want to use an external monitor. That is what I'm doing right now. It helps you see your image bigger than on your little LCD screen. And this is what I would suggest for the little ZV-E10 Mark II. This is the Portkeys PT6 monitor. It's about $110 right now. Never lets me down. It is just great. It doesn't make any noise. Small, lightweight. It's about the size of an iPhone 16 Pro Max, and I really like it. So of course you're going to need an HDMI cable to go into this to micro HDMI to go into your ZV-E10 Mark II. I will link the cable below as well as this monitor. Oh, and the monitor takes the very common Sony NP-F batteries, and I will have those down below as well so you don't have to do any guesswork. Now, if you're going to do some really long shoots with your camera, you can occasionally run into overheating issues. I personally don't have any trouble with the ZV-E10 Mark II unless I am streaming 4K 30 from the USB-C for more than an hour. That is about the only time I run into it, or maybe if I'm doing 4K 60 for about an hour. So enter the Ulanzi cooling fan. I will show you. There it is right there. Has a little spring, so it just attaches to the back of your camera, just like this, lickety split, and then there you go. And it has a little USB port there, so you can power it the whole time if you want for hours and hours, but it also has its own internal battery that will last for about an hour without having to plug it in. Something else I like to have if I'm shooting for very long periods of time or I'm streaming, something like that, is a dummy battery. This is the FZ100 dummy battery, so you just put that into your camera. I'm looking for the bottom of the plug here because it's a pretty long cord, and you can just plug the cord right into the wall. There you go. Or you can plug it into a power bank, something else. But I like to have that dummy battery so I don't have to worry about the battery life if I'm doing long shoots. And when we're talking batteries, if I am not using the dummy battery, I often like to travel with at least 2 Sony batteries right here. I buy the first-party batteries because with firmware updates and things like that, things have gone screwy on me in the past, so now I just foot the bill and I buy the original Sony battery. So I would suggest you get a second one for this, and also a charger. Now, this is something interesting I'd like to say, is that chargers don't come with the Sony cameras. They just give you a USB-C cord. So I was always buying these little cheap ones right here. But the problem is that if you're traveling with them, things just fall out. Like, just take a look at this battery right here. You see that little thing there? I cracked it because it dropped from one of these chargers. So now I am using, this one here is from Lano, and I absolutely love it. It is not that much more expensive than getting one of these cheapo ones right there, and it comes with a nice silicone case. Look at that, it has a slot for an SD card and a place for 2 batteries. And then as I can see, I'll press the button there, and it is, I have a 66% left. So it tells you the percentage left, and you can just plug that in to a USB-C port right there and charge it up. It is also fast charging. Will charge twice as fast as one of these guys right here. And they also have another one that is a power bank. I'm going to be working with Lano on a video coming up for these 2 things because I love them. They feel so premium with this silicone. And then this one right here, you can see the lines. Can I show you that in the video? So you see the lines going up here. That's because it is charging the battery that is in there because it is a power bank. You can just plug in the power bank, charge it up, and then you can use the power bank with or without the batteries, or you can use the batteries in there. Then if the batteries are depleted, the power bank charges the batteries. This is so convenient for travel. Look at this. I can just stick another one in here like that and then close it up, and then it will start to charge this one as well. Now, see that? Look at that. Charging this one as well. I love this thing, but it is a bit more expensive and a bit bulkier. So if you're just looking for a fast charger to house your batteries for when you're traveling and at home, then there you go. This one right here. I'll link them both below. Now, if you're going to take your ZV-E10 Mark II out in the world, I would suggest you get a lavalier microphone. I would pick one of these 2 right here. Overall, this one is my favorite sound quality. Look at the size of this thing. The Hollyland Lark M2, tiny little microphone, and this is the receiver that sits on top of it, and then that, oh, I lost focus, that one goes on top of your camera, and then this little guy goes on your shirt. They give you 2 so you can have somebody else walking around with you, you know, if you have friends and you're not like me. Another great option for lavs is this Godox Magic XT1. I actually put the 2 mics head to head, so you can check that out and see which one you would prefer. But look at that right there. These are the transmitters housed right into the receiver. That is so cool. These things are also so tiny and small. Look at the size of this thing. Oh, so little and cute. I would suggest that for your lav, get one of these 2 microphones. And talking about going out into the world, you're going to need a little tripod. This one is my favorite because it doubles as a vlogging stick with this grip right here, and then you press that button and then you can just put it down. And that is so great because often you're just carrying a lot of stuff. You're trying to put your camera down and you only have one hand to do it. It is hard to open up a tripod with one hand. So this has been great. It never leaves me. I take this with me wherever I go. This one is from Ulanzi. It's called the TT38, and it's got a quick release. You just clip it down. Really like this thing for walking around with my ZV-E10 Mark II. Well, when you're in the studio, you're going to need a bigger tripod. This is overall my favorite one to use. It is an F38. It's also from Ulanzi, F38 quick release system. This is their video tripod. It's got a little fluid head right here so you can make your adjustments. In fact, my camera that I'm shooting with right now is sitting on one because I have two. It's got these really, really quick to use legs. I just love this. It's so lightweight and small. Fantastic. Can't recommend this highly enough, but it is a little pricey for some people. So if you are looking for the lowest budget tripod that I would recommend, that would be a newer tripod. And by newer, I don't mean recent, I mean the brand newer. It's the LT07, and it's around $80 right now, I believe. So a bit cheaper than this one, but honestly, if you can afford this one, you won't regret it. In terms of a boom mic in the studio, I really love this one, the Comica VM30. It is quite a budget microphone, but it is really, really excellent sound quality. And you can actually make this a wireless microphone. You see this little receiver right here? You can run the mic wirelessly through this guy. Then you have to hook that up to your camera. So I find a simple solution is to just take a 3.5mm extension cord and go from the microphone right into my camera. Let me show you. So this is the extension cord, and I just run it from the 3.5mm jack there on the VM30, and then I attach it, I boom it overhead close to my yap hole, just out of frame right there like that, and then I put it on a cheap mic stand, and then I run this other end right into my Sony ZV-E10 Mark II. Let me just interrupt real quick. This is Future Mark. I was editing this very video, and what shows up in the mail but another microphone from Comica. This is the VM40. I just showed you the VM30, but this one is blowing my mind because we have a nice microphone here, but here's the thing. This thing is actually a 32-bit float recorder. That's right. So you're not going to peak your audio no matter how loud you yell, and you can recover if you're talking very, very quietly without raising the noise floor. So as long as you don't blow the mic out at the capsule itself, you'll always be able to get perfect audio. It records right to the microphone. No wires, no anything. You will have to sync that up in post, but no one else has done that. This is a first and a game changer is what they say in our space, and this one really is. Now, it still has a receiver, so you can also do the wireless. They were the first to do that as well, I believe. So you can do the wireless to your camera, and then you can have your audio already synced up to your SD card by using it this way, going right there. But if you don't want to take up the hot shoe or get a cage to have an extra shoe in there, you can still do my thing of getting the 3.5mm cable from this right into your camera, but you can also record 32-bit float, so you can have a backup track as well and use whichever one you see fit. This is so crazy. I can't wait to do a full review coming soon. Sony sensors are notorious dust collectors, as many of you know, so you're going to want some cleaning supplies. This one right here is just a simple little rocket blower, they call it, and you can just blow the dust off your sensor, turn the camera upside down, blow it, and then that will get most of it off. But the stuff that doesn't come off, you're going to want to clean it with this sensor cleaning kit. This is pretty cheap. Who is this by? This one is by UES. Does the job. I like it. I'll put that below. Of course, you're going to need an SD card, and honestly, the only one I can recommend is the Sony Tough Card, because I've broken so many of the other ones after a year or two of heavy use going in and out of the cameras and the computer. Then they tend to fall apart on me, but not the Sony Tough Cards. And I would also recommend you get the V90, the fastest one, because there are some modes on the ZV-E10 Mark II where you will need that V90, such as 4K 60 at 600 megabits per second. Maybe you won't ever use that, but if you wanted to use that, it'd be nice to know that you could when you spent a little more on your SD card. The last thing I will mention is this small rig cage right here. There are not a ton of cages out right now, but Small Rig does make one. It's great. It doesn't block the hot shoe. It's got a nice silicone handle, and if you want to rig out your ZV-E10 Mark II, make it look like a big old professional cinema camera, I'm going to do a video on that coming up soon. Then, of course, you're going to need a cage for that, and small rig is making the best one going right now, so that is why I bought that one. So let me know down below what are your favorite accessories for the ZV-E10 Mark II, and then I will add them into my description, giving you no credit whatsoever. So thanks for watching this. We'll talk to you again soon. Okay, bye-bye.